8 with we're gonna have Stefan from Pup today, and I am super excited about this. Um, and today I hit a little fundraiser button. We're gonna do it for the Basie Center in New Jersey, in Red Bank, New Jersey. That's my hometown. So if you feel like hitting that little donate button, you can. If you don't want to, it's totally cool. Just feel free to watch. I'm just doing it because I'm gonna try and support some local businesses while I can while I'm doing this. And if you don't want to, it's totally fine. So anyway, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna. Well, that request is moving as I'm doing it. Anyway, yeah, if you want to do this donation thing, you can. It's for the Basie Center. That's a local thing in Red Bank, New Jersey. Stefan, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. I mean, as good as can be, I think. How are you doing?
I'm good, but I'm actually good. Well, you said pretty good, but then your eyebrow did this thing, so it made me go like, well, I don't. I wonder if that's true. If you need to FaceTime later for any reason, like you just call me anytime you want.
Yeah.
I live in a dumpster, so the reception's not great. Um, I'm thrilled to have you on here to talk to you. We have not really officially, maybe ever met,
Yeah, I don't think so.
which is I think is weird. You might not think that's that weird, but we have a million mutual friends, and I can't believe that we have never face to face sat here.
Took a pandemic to bring us together here, so.
It did, but it's a unifying thing. You have to make your choices, and I guess during a time like this, there's nothing else we can do but embrace.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's like a super, it's an honor. I mean, I've been a fan for a long time, so it's nice to finally meet you and get to do this thing with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And also you're one of the people like that. A lot of the people that I talk to, I'm obviously a fan of everyone that comes on the show's work. Or, that's kind of the criteria, is just being a fan. But one thing that I have not had yet is so you have a unique way of writing lyrics that I'm going to try and get into with you. That is not only something that I admire, but slightly envy a little bit. So I'm going to try and find out a little bit more about your process today in the hopes of literally stealing from you. So
Great.
I feel like,
I love talking about songwriting. I've stolen from so many people this way. So I
I
feel
love
like songwriting is kind of a mystery, even a songwriter. So it's good to
it
share the
is.
secrets and see what's up.
It's a thing. There's actually like a piece that I was reading. I get stuck all the time. Every time I write a record, I forget how to write a record. And I forget that I'm a writer. So I lose all confidence. And like I actually get to the point where it's not a joke, where I actually like have gotten to the point before where I think I need to go back to therapy to like get more help, because like I will work myself into a frenzy. And I also found out that Paul McCartney, he's like in an indie band, it's called the Beatles. He has that same thing where every time he sits down to write a song, he says he forgets how he's done it. And
Yeah.
do you ever get that?
I feel like every song that I write is the last song I'll ever write.
Yeah.
Constantly. It's so brutal. And I mean, should know by now, like it's okay. Like I can turn it on. It takes some time. Like, it might take a month of writing garbage songs before I get to stuff that's okay. But just in my brain, it feels like it'll never happen again. And
Yeah.
the scariest thing in the world, I know a lot of people, there are a lot of songwriters who just like have this unending well that they're just pulling from.
Yeah.
uh, I am not. I wouldn't consider myself a prolific writer, so it can be pretty nerve wracking.
Yeah. But you've done pretty well, I think, like with the band. Like you've put out consistent records in I would call them short amounts of time. Like I don't think that there's like I think your longest gap was 3 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's not long. Like that's like, like Social Distortion is crazy long, you know, like I think 9 years or whatever. But like, you know, and you guys are always on tour too. You're like doing the thing, really doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I've really struggled with that. I mean, I don't know what it's like for you on the road, but I have never been able to write a single thing. Um,
Yeah.
I used to beat myself up about it. Every tour, I'd just be like super bummed out, trying, and just nothing's coming. And now I'm pretty like mellow about it all. I kind of know that part. That part about me is like I just don't write on the road, and I have to be okay with it and just kind of like be a sponge and absorb as much as I can while I'm out there, so that when I come home, I can have some stuff to draw on.
Do you keep like a notepad around with you?
Yeah,
Like your phone or whatever. I don't, no one uses a notepad. Like I
I do.
use my
Yeah,
phone.
I do. It sucks. I carry around this big old notebook.
You
Um,
do?
yeah, I have like a. It doesn't work out for me that often, but once in a while it works out really well. Is I have this notebook, and every time I think of like something really stupid or like uh, a fucked up like two liner or whatever,
Yeah.
like a nice gut punch, I write it down. So I have this notebook that's filled with like 500 one-liners, and
That's brilliant.
it's you know what, I use it less than you'd think. I like whenever I use it, it feels like something's being forced.
Okay.
But once in a while, one of the lines like lines up perfectly with a song that I'm writing, and that's kind of like the best moment for me.
That's amazing. That's such a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know why I started. I think I started doing it because um, I've always been like pretty insecure about my lyrics. I've always felt like I can write a chorus pretty easily. I can come up with melody. It's not a problem. But when it comes to the lyrics, I have to work so much harder at that than anything else.
Yeah.
And so just to make my life easier, like I know a lot of people have like tons of voice memos, right? With
Hmm.
with like riffs or whatever. I don't really have that.
No,
I
me neither.
yeah, I just like I kind of have this thing in my brain where in terms of melody, if you're if you have something in your brain and you wake up the next day and you don't remember it, it wasn't good enough to begin with.
Yeah.
So uh so I don't worry too much about that stuff, but I really worry about the lyric part. So I just
Yeah.
kind of do everything I can to like sort of make sure that I don't fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, you're doing fine, by the way. I'll just be the first one to tell you that. And that will. So your theory of doing that, that's what Keith Richards does. He thinks that it's like not worth it if you can't remember the like whatever the riff is. But I actually I've never done anything that Keith Richards did, so I don't actually practice that. Like when I do the thing, I'm terrible at keeping, like I'll record sometimes like a little idea, like on the guitar or on the piano or whatever, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna totally use that. That has never happened ever where I've actually used it, ever. So like I'll go back and listen and I'll be like, I'll get intimidated by the volume of notes, like even if there's only 10, I'll
Right.
just be like, nah, this sucks. I'm not gonna sit here and listen to this. I'm like, I gotta get to work. And then I just trust that every time the music will come. But the one thing I will tell you is that I feel exactly the same way about any time I've ever sat down to write lyrics. But the thing is that you write lyrics like, okay, so I get nervous because I write lyrics that aren't that cool sometimes. Like I kind of touch on subjects that people are like, that's corny, like you're stupid, like I'm laughing at you. Like it's totally like I'm back in high school, I'm naked in the shower and kids are hitting me again. You write really cool lyrics. Like I'll tell you that the things that, because well no, I'm not just kind of like saying it. You write things like you're able to say the things that are on people's minds, that they're like almost like it's an argument with yourself, but it's not exclusive to you by being like so isolated. It's like you're writing this conversation that everyone is having, like with themselves. And so like take a load off your shoulders. You're super cool at it. And that's great that you don't know it, but like that is one of the strengths that you have. So whatever your process is, don't change that ever.
Thank you. Thanks. I mean, I feel like a lot of the stuff I write is pretty uncool, but I mean, I think a lot of it is like I've embraced how uncool I am and what like a kind of weirdo, what a loser I've been for most of my life. I've kind of just embraced that, and letting go of that. Like I think when we were writing the first record, I was learning to be a songwriter. It was like the first time I'd really like I played in bands before, but I was kind of always a secondary songwriter. And I was kind of learning to be a songwriter writing that first record. And I think when I look back at it, I am proud of it, but there's just a few songs where I'm trying to pretend to be something that I'm not. And
Totally.
I think I can tell so easily, and I think other people can tell. So
no one else can tell.
Oh, well, I don't know. There's a few songs on that record that are, but when we went to do the next record, The Dream Is Over, I kind of like, I was so much more focused on writing lyrics and trying to just tell it like it is to myself, be honest with myself. And
yeah.
Hopefully people will be able to relate. And turns out there are a lot of fucked up people out there, so it's pretty good for business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can see what you say. I can see what you're saying about making a jump, like in quality, is from the first one. But I don't think the first one is by any means like amateur. Like I don't think that you're kind of doing anything that like it just seems like you in all ways that your band has improved with every record. But I think that you started off from a good point. So don't feel bad about those because I think that they're good. But matter of fact, you came to my attention because Joe Sib. He gave me the record and he was just like, he called me on the phone about it actually, which is strange. He only does that once or twice every couple of years, but he called me on the phone and I was like, he's like, I signed this new band. They're from Toronto and they're called Pup. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, what do they sound like? And he's like, well, they have like big choruses and they're like, they're like punk and cool. And he's like, but it's like thinking punk, And I was like, all right, cool. I'm in. And he sends me the cover and I'm like, wow, okay, what is this? Like, this is so I think it's funny at first. I'm like, this is kind of funny. This is great. So I'm like, all right, let me put it on. And then we rocked that thing in the van because I think we were that was probably still van days for us. But like, I know everybody played that like over and over again. And like all the other bands were like, oh, you this new band? And we're like, yeah, we're totally already into them. Like, whatever, like you're late.
Yeah.
But it was always cool. So you're doing a good job.
Thanks. I mean, I feel like a lot of it for myself is, hard work, and a lot of it is luck. Like one thing that I just got so hugely lucky with is like meeting the other three guys in Pup and like having three friends that I get along with really well who are really good at music and dedicated and want to work as hard as I want to work. There are a lot of people out there who work hard and maybe have some talent, but if you're not lucky enough to find people, you're kind of stuck.
Totally. Yeah, I fully back that. That's a lot of what separates a lot of people. So here's the thing. Like normally I play 2 songs. We'll probably throw in you if you want to do a couple. I know you said you were nervous about it. You shouldn't be. Don't worry about it. Everybody's nice here. I've
played solo acoustic one time in my life.
Okay.
I've had very little experience like not hiding behind a wall of noise, so it'll be interesting.
I'll make a ton of noise while you're playing. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Well, people are going to be psyched though, so they're not mean. I turned off the comments if they are mean. Augusta is going to be super nice about it. She promised not to she's not going to call during the session. She said not, So, all right. Well, I'll start off with. So this is the first song that I wrote for what was to become the Gaslight Anthem. When I was sort of like, okay, I want to be a songwriter. I don't really know. Like my previous songs up until this point sucked, in my opinion. So I was kind of like right what you were saying. Only I guarantee you that the songs that I wrote weren't as good as your first record. So, but this is the first song that I actually said, like, what does it take to be a songwriter? And I decided that, you know, like we were going to be a punk band, whatever. And I didn't know if you could talk about serious things, like especially right off the bat, or like something that wasn't necessarily like political or whatever. And I decided that I wanted to be a songwriter more than anything else. And I didn't care if anybody accepted it. So I sat down, and it's the first time that I wrote a song about my real life. And so this song was about my grandmother had just passed away from Alzheimer's, and I wrote it down, and I was like, I don't know, like maybe people are gonna hate this song, but I felt it was pretty good. So I'll show you mine, and then like maybe you could show me one of yours later.
Cool.
All right, this song's called 1930. Feel free to look away, get tea, whatever you need to do. It's not doesn't have to be weird. All right. Mercy in a minute now. I'ma bleed a little poison now. Cry a little river down. Setting this whole thing on fire. Burning up the night she died. Putting every last picture aside. Gonna say what I need to say. Every last letter to you. You always made it clear. Said you'd never be my pain. Here's to you and your bright baby blues, and just a pause to cool the refrain. She said you were satisfied, that this body just waited the time. And she missed him sometimes, but she said it's alright, just a whole lot harder alone. But I wish you knew her now. She's the better side of me now. And I'm doing the best I can. Just what you wanted. And I see it like you were there. Know just how you smile. Mary, you look just like it's 1930 at night. Here the days will eat you alive. I won't give in tonight. You said it's not worth my time, not to regard them, not to settle just for peace of mind. I could wait it out all night, just keep breathing. But Mary, I found the sound, and if this heart keeps pouring it out, glory hasn't come, and it's probably gonna fade like the tattoo that hides the shame. And the reasons always fade, and the pain gives out someday. So I'm saying my goodbye to your deep blue eyes, 'cause I don't know how to stay. Stay still in the pain. But I wish you knew her now. She's the better side of me now. And I'm doing the best I can. Just what you wanted. And I see it. Mary, you look just like it's 1930 that night. And if I recall, the last thing you said to me before it broke up, before they took you from me, you said I love you more than the stars in the sky. But your name just escapes me tonight. And I love you more than the stars in the sky. But your name just escapes me tonight.
Nice.
There you go. Thank you. So I understand what you're saying, because that, like, when I finished that song, I remember looking back and going, like, at the screen, kind of like typing out the lyrics and kind of going like, well, that's different than anything I've written previous to this. So I knew that I was onto something. But like what you said about like kind of dumb luck is 100% true, because I think that if I remember showing that song to Ben, the drummer, and being like, hey, you know, this is what the best I got right now. And I remember him being like, no one else ever said this to me, but he went, cool, now we need about 11 more just like it. And I was like, wow, man, okay, like that's hardcore, because that was the best I could do. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to do another one. And he's like, guess what? Here's the deal. And if I hadn't met him, we wouldn't be talking right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's like that idea that, you know, he was right. Ben's right. Like if you had just written that song, that was your like magnum opus, and then you wrote a bunch of other like whatever, it wouldn't have worked out, man.
Not at all.
Pushing you, like telling you honestly, like, is this good enough? And just pushing you to be the best kind of person and songwriter that you could be, and having those people around is so important. You know,
it's crucial. I think it's like it's absolutely crucial. So but it seems like you've all got it figured out too, which is great.
Well, we put a lot of pressure on each other, I think. So, you know, like there are some, you know, there's cop-outs in songwriting all the time. Probably there's at least one line in every song I've written that's kind of a cop-out.
Yeah.
And most people wouldn't notice it or care, but having my bandmates around kind of keeps me honest.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they expect a lot from me and I expect a lot from them, and we're sometimes brutally honest with each other, which in the short term is problematic for our relationship, but in the long term, I wouldn't have it any other way. So
I totally get it. That's beautiful, though. It's awesome. Well, how do you feel about playing one?
Yeah, I can do it.
If you want to put it off, we can.
No, it's all good.
All right. And if at any point you feel like that's not it, dude, I think that I'm so interested just to have you talk to me. So it's cool. So whatever you want to do is cool.
All right. I had to look up the chords for this today on the internet on ultimateguitar.com, because it's a song that that the band doesn't play live. We've only played it live one time, and it was
okay.
But it's a song that I really like, so I'm just gonna take the opportunity to.
That's the way. I love it.
Oh, in Pine Point, where I was born, the roads are all overgrown. No one's lived there for years. The town was never the same. The mine was closed in '88. Everyone disappeared. Oh, Pine Point, '86. My older brother died when we were kids. His best friend was wasted at the wheel. Pine Point, nothing but memories. The abandoned cemetery where we buried our family. I hope you know what you're doing in Pine Point, where I left my eyes on the prize, and it was you. It was you. Pine Point, I kept my eyes on the prize, and it was you. It was you. Oh, Pine Point is deteriorating, and your memory started fading, and you called to let me know. You said it seems like forever since we've seen each other. Where does the time go? And I said, I hope you know what you're doing in Pine Point, in the house we grew up in. You said the room you were born in, it was just how you left it. In Pine Point, I kept my eye on the kept my eye on the prize, and it was you. It was you. And I hope you know. I hope you know what you're doing after all. I hope that you know what you're doing.
That's awesome, man. You did great.
Hey.
Don't worry about this. You've got a whole thing. Now you've got a side hustle. This is all good. Don't worry about it. That's great.
Thanks, man.
So you don't play that song like in live?
No, we even headline sets we tend to keep them pretty short.
Yeah. Well, your records are pretty short too.
Pardon me?
Your record lengths are short.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, me too. I feel like nobody needs me yelling at them longer than half an hour.
Feel you.
But
yeah.
live, headline shows we play for about an hour, and we just try to keep the energy up. We have a few like moments and songs where we really bring it down, but that song is like one of the most mellow songs that we've ever written, and I think we all like it, but it just doesn't work with the energy of the live show. So.
Yeah, that's so smart that you know that too, which is great. You seem like it's so refreshing to me, like to meet someone who's like self-aware but in a good way and like is aware of the faults of the thing. Like, I don't know, it's inspiring to me. Like, it's just cool. I don't mean to just like pat you on the back the entire time and make you feel weird, but
please,
like
keep going.
I will. Well, because it's like, to me, it's so interesting because I don't think that there are so many people who sort of like ape what you do, and not like your specific band style or anything like that or whatever, because like, all music's derivative, whatever. But like, so many bands try to do the thing that you guys are it seems to be very just natural. I mean, not without work, but like everyone is like, oh yeah, we're like so real, like, and like, just keep the energy up. I'm like so real. But like, you call your yourselves out for like the craziest stuff, like even in the songs. And
Yeah.
to me, like, so, okay, so like even, it's just, I don't even know, like the whole, like, I could go on, whatever. I'm not going to get specific with it, but like, I just think that it's refreshing and cool. And that you also seem like inclusive in your songwriting. Like a lot of people who sort of get to that status that you've gotten. I mean, like you've got like a guy like Ian Cohen at a Pitchfork, great writer, writing like not only one great review for you, but two, like of both of your last records. And like, you've got really good fans. And the one thing that I will notice that is so refreshing to me is that your writing still is aware of the people who are listening to you, and you haven't sort of created like the cool club. And that's the thing that I find the most refreshing.
Well,
so
thanks.
Do you think about the listener when you're writing the song?
So my answer that I would say in most interviews, because I don't want to get into it, is no, I don't think about it.
Okay.
The honest answer is that I try very, very hard not to think about it.
Yeah.
But it is this kind of like shadowy figure in the background looming, like, it's another thing that keeps me honest is like other people calling me on my bullshit. And you said I haven't formed this cool kids club. We formed the losers club. Like, I think a lot of the people who listen to Pup are losers in the best way.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
it's good. It's I mean, I don't want to write songs about something that I'm not. And one of the things that I do pride myself on with songwriting is, like you touched on it, is just kind of calling myself out in songs. Like there's a lot wrong with me, but one of the things that I like about myself is that I'm painfully self-aware. So I'm able to kind of figure out like what kind of bullshit I'm talking about, and then make sure that I'm the one calling myself out for the bullshit before anyone else has a chance to.
Yeah, and it there's even like there's one. It's not, why is it going to slip away from my brain? But like there's even like times when you're writing a song about like, it seems like you're kind of saying, you like in one of your songs, sort of like disagree. It's gone from my brain. So I had it ready, and then like, and now I'm talking and it's gone. But you said like, are you sure you want to do that? In like, instead of being like, you don't want to blah 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 blah, like preachy 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 preachy. You don't do that. You have this cool like you sound genuinely concerned when you're saying these things. And that's kind of what I meant about the Cool Kids Club, because once people are like, there are a lot of people like you, and once they realize it, they almost believe it, and then they start excluding people that they deem not cool enough to be like, oh, you know, I don't know, it might be above your head, like, but this song's called like, you know, Red Crayon or whatever. And
Right.
so,
Yeah. This dumb pop punk band is way above people's heads.
well, yeah, okay. Now you say that, but like there are bands who really do feel that way and act that way. And so I think that it's cool because you've sort of I mean, I don't know, you've reached like a different level of like that thing where you're equally popular and respected, which is such a that's like unique. You know, you don't really find that often. So when you sit down, I'm not going to let you answer that. I'm just going to steamroll over that one. So sorry. Because I don't want you to get in trouble. So when you, now with all this, when you're sitting down and you're like, okay, I'm calling myself out, like, how do you know the line between like calling yourself out appropriately in a song and then just like bashing yourself, you know, to a pulp? Like, where do you draw that line?
I don't know where that line is. I don't think
Fair.
it really exists. I mean, I think for me, like songwriting is a way to kind of like exercise all my demons, right?
Yeah.
So, I say a lot of negative shit, and it all comes out in the songs, and I feel better because I get to play them in front of people with my friends and get to play them loud and scream about it, and it just kind of feels good. So I don't really have to worry about that stuff. You know, one thing that I do worry about, and it's kind of weird because she's sitting in the other room, but you know, I write a lot of songs about people in my life. Like I have no trouble bashing myself.
Yeah.
But when it comes to people that I love, and you want to be honest about, you know, certain aspects of your relationship, whether it's, you know, romantic or with your parents and your sister or your friends, and you want to be honest about certain aspects of the relationship that are maybe not great. That's where it gets hard for me, because I know that my partner is going to hear the songs, and she's going to feel probably at some point in, you know, every record, she's going to feel like there's nothing sacred in our relationship, and I'm kind of like bring our dirty laundry. And I think that's, sometimes I think about that, and it's so like being in a band is so selfish. Like, not only do you go on the road for months at a time and leave behind the people that you love, but it's selfish because you're the one making the decision about what the world gets to hear.
Yeah.
Like, they only get my side. They're not getting her side or anyone else's side. And that kind of sucks. I mean, she's kind of accepted it. We've been together since this band has been happening. She's accepted it, and she's really gracious about it, and is able to laugh at a lot of the stuff in the songs. But I think it's also harder for, like, you know, like my parents. I think it can be hard for, like, the last record, I was pretty open about, you know, the struggles I've had with mental health, and
Yeah.
I love my parents very much, but it's something that I've never talked to them about, and they kind of like only realized it through the albums and me doing interviews, and it's kind of an awkward conversation to have with them being like, so we never knew this side of you, you know?
Yeah. Well, no, that's I mean, that's kind of the thing that comes hand in hand with being honest. But like, have you seen that Nick Cave documentary? It's like 20,000 days or 200,000 days on it.
I haven't seen that.
You should see it, even if you're not a fan, because he says the same thing, and he sort of says like, am I reducing my relationships down to just like fodder for more songs or whatever? And he's like, almost like, do I do it on purpose? Like, so like if I'm in a fight, am I sitting in the back of my head being like, well, if I push it this way, could it be this kind of a song? And that's like a real twisted thing up, like
Yeah.
for some, but like, I think as most creative people are not usually, I'm speaking from my own experience, are not usually the most stable human beings in real life. So it becomes a thing, and a lot of things come out. But it's funny because I had a very similar thing happen to me early on, where my parents came up and were like, "Hey, there's this one thing in this song, uh, like, are we cool?" And I was like, oh, yeah, we're cool. But I was like, that's not about that. They actually like misinterpreted a thing. And I was like, no, 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 but we're cool. But it was so weird to be like, oh, right. This is not just me in my bedroom anymore.
Right. People are
So
paying
yeah.
attention, and yeah. I there was a song on our last record called Sibling Rivalry.
Yeah.
And I sent it to my sister before the record came out. I was like, you better listen to this. I mean, it's going on whether you like it or not, but like I just want you to have the heads up before the world finds out about this. And she was pretty pissed off because she's never really been a subject of any of my songs. So, and she's a very private person. She's like, she's probably my best friend in the world, but she's a very private person, and she was not very stoked about it.
I feel that.
I mean, it's just like, it's just comes with the territory, and I try to be sensitive about it when I'm writing songs and not go too deep with that
Right.
kind of shit. But I also kind of expect the people in my life to, be understanding and be aware of the fact that I'm making money off of airing the dirty laundry. So
Right. I mean, it's a fine line, and there's always like the element of like, disguise, and like how much do you disguise? And sometimes you can end up disguising a lot, but then sometimes you need to just feel like you got to say something. But you're right, it's an odd line to walk. I mean,
are you good at disguising that stuff? Because I'm like, I'm not a poet. I don't write poetry in my lyrics, right? I can't hide behind metaphors because I wish I could, but I don't know how to write that way. Is that something that you're able to do?
well, I'm less smart than you, so I borrow a lot from like I kind of like, my mom was a folk singer when before a long time ago, when she was in her early 20s or late teens, and so she taught me like right away. I had this like quick sort of like injection of like Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan and Joan Baez and all like the really good storytellers. So I kind of asked her one time, I think when I was a kid, I was like, hey, like, did they really do all this stuff? And my mom's like, no way, dude. They have really good imaginations. It's kind of like being an author. Because my mom was also like a literary, like a lit major or English major in college. So yeah, I was pretty aware that like stories could be totally fabricated, but I didn't actually take full license to fabricate like a totally made up story until actually like my last record that came out this year. But I would always change details, always. Like that was like, I don't know. I never wanted to like blast somebody and then have them like, come stab me somewhere.
How often do you think those people are able to figure it out?
I think most often than not with mine, actually, it's been the unfortunate opposite. Like, whereas people who the song is completely not about will be like, yo, why'd you write that thing about me? And I'll be like, well,
Yes, that's
how
pretty.
many mirrors do you have in your house? Because that's like insanely, what?
Yeah, yeah,
I've never thought that in my life.
yeah. That's amazing. That's like,
Yeah.
that's, you've missed the point entirely. You know what? Like that is worthy of you writing a song about that person for.
Yeah, but then I feel like I'm giving in. Like if I write the song about that, then I'm like giving
Yeah,
in.
but you get to control the narrative, so you're
True.
not into anything. You can say whatever you feel like.
That is true. Yeah,
You
yeah, you're
wield
right. I mean, I could do that.
you're a very popular songwriter. You wield a ton of power. It's
Power? What kind of power do I have?
I've been thousands, maybe millions of people hear the words that you write, you know, like
Scared. I'm
yeah.
never releasing another. All right, that's it, Stefan. I'm out. I'm never releasing another record again.
Yeah, it's not a good thing to think about. That's what I'm talking about. The shadowy figures in the
Yeah.
background, always there, you know, like
It's kind of good. The one thing that I will tell you that sort of helped me out with that is like, I have two kids, and they're like, they humble you really quickly in a weird way, which like, so because they require so much attention, especially when they're super little. So I'll be like going to the grocery store, and somebody will like be like, every once in a while will be like, hey, well, I mean, I went before we could go out, you know, before we were like buried under the ground.
right.
So, but they would say like, hey, can I take your picture? And then my kids would be like, why does that person want to take your picture? And I was like, oh yeah, well, because I'm in a band and like I play music, and you know, and they're like, yeah, we know you play music, but it's like, who knows you? And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's because it's so far removed now from like my life that I'll forget and sort of be like, oh yeah, like I do this thing. That's kind of cool, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know, it's a weird balance, but like I do feel the thing like right here,
Yeah.
you know.
And probably, you know, do you find it's even harder now that you have kids? Like, you know, they might be too young to know exactly what's going on now, but one day they're going to be 16, 20, whatever, and they're going to listen to these songs. They're going to know what's up. Like,
Yeah.
that freak you out?
No, because my songs aren't as like openly confessional, you know, like I think that like I've wanted to be at some point, but I was so afraid of like, to be honest with you, I'm so afraid that like my narrative in my head isn't accurate sometimes. Like I question myself a lot, like in a weird way. Like I feel like if I was ever to be like, I'm pissed off at like Joe for this thing that he did, and I'm gonna call him out, I'm gonna say this thing, I'm gonna write it out. I would be so afraid of being like exposed to some horrible side of myself that I didn't know was part of that reason that that song existed. And for like Joe to call me up and be like, yo, well, you did this, and then basically have the whole world like laugh at me for being like not aware, because I'm bad at that. Like I truly am not good at like that. That's one of the worst things I am good at. I'm not good at. You know what I mean? I'm saying it so wrong, but like, yeah.
No, I got it. But you know, even saying that is pretty self-aware, right? Like
I don't know.
knowing that you're not completely self-aware is really self-aware. It's
Oh, okay, well, that's good. I'm just scared. Like, to tell you the truth, I'm super scared all the time whenever I write a song. I'm like, I hope I'm not being like a jerk, you know?
yeah. I try not to worry about that part either.
Yeah,
I
you
think
do good. You're doing
I
fine.
think for me is like I am more of an asshole to myself than anybody else on the record. So at the end of the day,
Yeah,
they could be pissed off and say whatever they want about me, but I've said it about myself already
I
in
feel
that
that.
record.
Okay. Yeah, no, but that makes sense with you. Like, I try to like, you know, it's weird because in the way that like sort of I do it, I guess, like if I go too far into like bashing myself, I'm like, people are always like, oh, like, woe is me, guy, you know, and I'm like, well, I'm trying to balance out the details here. But, well, actually, that's a really good, because so the thing that I'm going to play now is a song where I kind of did that and was sort of playing like the onus of the like the you know the victim, which is not entirely true. So like I think I take great assumption that my audience knows that I'm totally half telling the truth and totally half like totally full of crap. So
Right.
like, you know, like there's always like the other side of the story, and I try to play it like so it's like assumed that that's the case.
Right.
So
Okay.
anyway, this song was actually, which I'm so proud of this, was also voted worst song I've ever written. So,
By who?
like, I don't want to say. So, but a publication. So, yeah, worst song I've ever written. But I actually like this song a lot. So, like, you know, I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to play it for you. It's
All
called
right.
Sweet Morphine. I've never done morphine either, so I'm a liar. darling, you are the restless sea. With your black heart raging over me, as the blue skies seem the same trouble as we. Tell me true, I love the restless sea. There are three things never satisfied: the grave, your heart, and mine. But I will hold you in my arms where rust and night. By now, you must have found better than me. I'm sure Jupiter and Orpheus have charmed you off your feet by now. I'm sure you've gotten over me. While you're kissing clouds and gods, I'll be holding on my knees. Sweet morphine, yes, I've come to know you are the endless night. High above my love in the constellation light, waving your fingertips asleep over the dark on the face of the deep endless night. Know you will be by now. You must have found better than me. I'm sure Jupiter and Orpheus, they charmed you off your feet by now. I'm sure you've gotten over me. While you're kissing clouds and gods, I'll be crawling on my knees. Sweet morphine, sweet morphine.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Worst song I've ever written.
That's a beautiful song. I love that, man.
I like it too. I don't know. Like in the real version, it's got pianos and the bits, and I was like, this is a pretty good song. I don't know why. But anyway, the worst song, I feel like there's a couple other ones contending. You know?
Yeah, you should write them a letter with a list of all your songs that
Yeah.
are worse than that one.
Ah, that's a good idea. Be like, yeah, and then I could just say like,
Yeah.
you can't. I feel like it's always bad though to sort of clap back whenever anyone's been like, yo, this sucks. I think that you instantly lose if you say anything. So I feel like you got to just endure. Which my skin isn't that thick. I don't know about yours, but mine's not that thick.
I mean, I think for me it depends on what people are saying.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
some that I'm like, whatever, I can take it.
Right.
No problem. Pile it on. But there are certain things I really like. You know, the stuff that you know is true.
Yeah, when you're like, well,
Yeah.
I think the stuff that I know is true is a little bit easier to swallow. The stuff that I think like genuinely hurts my feelings by being misunderstood, like that really always is the thing that gets me. You know, like if somebody's like, oh, like they're so this, and it's like something that you despise, you know, and you're like, oh no, and that, like, I think having to swallow that sometimes is a little bit like,
Yeah.
you know.
I think a lot of people like, it's so easy to make up your own narrative about what the person who's singing or writing the lyrics are all about. Like, it's so easy to kind of just assume so much about somebody that way. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Like, it's easy to feel like you know your favorite songwriters, right?
Yeah, totally.
Them so much, but you're not getting a full picture in songs about what somebody's about, and I think that's, like, for instance, like we've got a few songs where I talk about like you know, getting drunk or smoking weed or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like the vast majority of Pup fans understand that that's one side of me and not the only side of me.
Right.
And there's a small group of people who, you know, will come up to me after shows and be like, this pill goes up, this pill goes down. Like,
Right.
you know, like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not,
Right.
like, so it's pretty easy for people, I think, to like latch on to one line in one song and decide like, this is the kind of person you are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
really
for sure. That's pretty common.
You were saying before, like, so a lot of the songs are sort of based in reality, but sort of half truths or one side. So one of my most feared questions in interviews, and it happens without fail every time, is like, what is this song about? And then I have to go tell the exact story, which I feel like I've already told better than I can tell. I've already told the story in the song. Like, I can't tell it any better.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you get that question if half of it is, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, totally. Well, the biggest thing that I try to do the most is I don't answer that question, because I feel like for me, that question, I've literally said, like, I'm not going to tell you what it's about, because if I say what a song's about, I learned this from Sheryl Crow years ago, that not personally, I saw her say this in an interview. And,
right.
Because if I feel like if I tell you what one of the songs is about, then it's no longer about your imagination. So then you can't have your story in the song anymore, because like I've hated it. Like some people have ruined songs for me by being like, I wrote that song on the toilet. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, really? Like, don't tell me that. That's cool if you did, but don't tell me that. And
Sure.
so like I make a rule like not saying that. And but I always tell the person asking that question why. I say, like, if I tell you why, you know, it will take away the meaning that's available to the listener. Because one of the points about me leaving songs vague, and sometimes I use metaphor, because sometimes my whole thing is like, my songs sometimes are just a bunch of metaphors. And all I'm trying to do is convey a feeling to the listener. And I'm not even sure sometimes what I'm trying to say. So I'm just like, this is how I feel right now. Here are the things that make me feel that way. Now it's yours now.
Yeah,
and so it's a weird kind of like, I don't know why I do that, but it's.
No, I love that.
Well, do you want to play another one or no? Do you want to talk? We can. Whatever you want to do. It's totally cool to say.
Yeah, I'll play one.
All right.
I've been writing a lot during quarantine.
Yeah.
And it's all been shit, fucking terrible. Like I need more.
Okay.
And I'm like writing about fucking lamp over there, and like that's garbage. But
I do the exact same thing. Every one of my songs starts out that way. Lamp, battery, computer screen.
Yeah. Strumming an E chord.
Yeah.
Singing about what's on TV. So I did finish like, 3 or 4 songs that I feel like are okay. This is one that I think kind of sucks, but I think it's kind of topical because it's about being quarantined, and I was kind of feeling pretty numb, and like Groundhog Day was happening every day, and I was like, felt like I had nothing to write about, and then thinking about feeling numb and kind of dead on the inside is a thing to write about. So
definitely.
It's called Waiting for Something to Happen.
All right.
I've been hiding out inside, staying positive, staying high, losing touch with everyone I know. I should call them, but I don't. The silent house is drowning me in sound. It's deafening me loud. I operate between opposite moods. What it feels like, you just can't break through it. You barely feel like you're alive. You think about it all the time. You barely feel like you're alive. You think about it all the time. I've been hiding out inside, staying positive, trying to keep my head. There's no connection on the line. I don't know if there will be one again. I'm staring at my phone as though it's on. It's been dead for days. The charger's gone. I lost it where I lost my nerve. Don't know which of them I'll find first. When you barely feel like you're alive. You think about it all the time. You barely feel like you're alive. You think about it all the time. Think about it all the time. Think about how it'll be if I ever stop hoping you'll come back to me. Barely feel like you're alive. You think about it all the time. You barely feel like you're alive. Think about it all the time.
Wait, is that new?
Yeah, I wrote that like a few weeks ago.
Dude, it sounds awesome.
Oh, thanks, man.
It really does. All right. Yeah, exclusive. Thanks, dude. That's so cool. That song sounds great. I love that
Thanks.
song.
I've got the thing with it where I kind of hate it, but maybe it'll grow on me.
Don't hate it. And well, what I'm gonna do is like, so we'll wrap this up. But that song, I'm gonna go listen to it later. Like, are you cool if because I save these things?
Yeah.
So are you cool with that?
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, I feel like you've done me a solid, and as songwriter to songwriter, I will delete this thing forever if you tell me to. I will. I have your back.
I'm good. I feel like I give myself 75% on that performance, so I'm feeling good.
No, I actually caught myself like going like, whoa, in the middle, because you sound great too. So
thanks.
it's good. All right. Well, anytime you want to just get complimented, just call. I'll message you my phone number. You can just text me. I'll just compliment you all day long. So if you're feeling down, I'm your guy.
I have a very fragile ego, so this has been very helpful.
Well, Stefan, I appreciate you coming on, and I think that you're a fantastic songwriter. I think your band rules, and I think what's most important is you're not a jerk, and I really like you.